Hi everyone, my name is Lillian and welcome to my channel Alpha Genesis. I'm joined here by my friend and colleague Trey, who also goes to my graduate program, and we are doing a video series on applying to PhD programs. And our video today is to give Statement of Purpose tips. So I guess the format of this video is I'm going to talk about my experience with the Statement of Purpose and how I wrote mine, and then Trey's going to talk about his. And just know that, we talked about this in the previous video, but your statement of purpose is really, what is your purpose in applying to this program? Why are you applying to this research degree? And so it's more research focused. And there are many ways you can write this. We're just going to talk about how we did ours. So I'd say, with regards to the statement of purpose, what is helpful and what you want to get to is, why are you applying to this program now? That is like the major question you want to ask or answer. And the way I did that is because I didn't have much research experience, I just talked about all my research experiences. And what I did was I found a common narrative that the two had, right? My common thread between the two was metabolism. So first I talked about how I got interested in metabolism, and that was a more personal story with my family having high rates of type 2 diabetes. And then I transitioned into talking about how that got me interested in research. And then I actually wrote about my research experience and what I did in that research experience. And what I'd say for what I did was I made sure to emphasize not just the research that I did, and what the question was, and what I did to answer it, but I also, for each research experience, dedicated a paragraph to what I learned as a researcher from that experience. For example, I learned how to conduct hypothesis-driven research. I learned what a hypothesis was. I learned statistical analysis, things like that.
And it can also be things like the hardships that you learned from also in your research experience.
Yes.
Like, I know how to troubleshoot now because things didn't work and I had to find out a way to get them to work.
Yes.
That's really important because that's a part of research that a lot of people don't really know about until they get into it. And that's why grad programs like to see that you've had research experience, because you know about the dark times.
Yeah.
And you can handle the dark times. So it's fine to write about that you learned, how to overcome those things.
That's the thing as well is, I've seen a lot of advisors have told me that they truly believe that, the number one predictor of PhD success isn't, GPA or any of that stuff, but it's resilience.
Yeah.
Do you actually know what you're getting into? Because it's not...
Can you ride the wave? Yeah. Can you ride the tides? Yeah. That's pretty important.
Exactly. So in addition to talking about what I learned, something that I thought was very important was to personalize that statement to the program I was applying to. So even though I had a general metabolism kind of feel to things, some programs I applied to had more researchers that were genetics of metabolism and epigenetics. So I would actually change my statement to specifically emphasize I'm interested in the genetics of metabolism. And the reason I felt okay with doing that was I was actually interested in all those things, but you're not actually held to that exact topic that you're talking about when you go to graduate school, right? I'm not doing metabolism work right now. It's normal for your interest to change. And then when in addition to changing, the general theme of the statement, I added at the very end some professor names and why I would like to work with them. And the reason I did that was to show that I was a good fit for that program, right? I've done these things, so I would feel comfortable working in this person's lab. And this person's lab also meets my interests,
Right. It's also critical because you're showing to the school that you're serious and invested and you've done your research. You're just not writing any statement of purpose for any school, that you're writing a statement of purpose for this specific school. You've done your research and you know why it's a good fit for you. So it's important.
And that's why you shouldn't apply to 40 graduate programs. Right. I only applied to 7.
Yeah, it's hard to do that research. Yeah.
So you want to enlighten us on yours?
Yeah, sure. So I think we definitely talked about similar things in our statement of purpose, but I think I structured it slightly different. And the approach that I took was if I was an admissions officer, what would I want to know from an applicant? And so essentially I structured my statement of purpose, SOP for short. The way that I structured it was in terms of like 5 or 6 major questions that I felt that I needed to answer to the admissions committee. And then I had essentially a paragraph for answering each of those different questions. And that's how I went about it. So the first major question is, why do you want to apply to graduate school? What do you want to study and why? And I think that is a really important question that you have to think deeply about, not just for the purpose of applying to graduate school, but just for yourself. Yeah. Like, why is it that you want to study developmental biology? Think deeply about that.
And why do you want to do it here?
At this place, in the context of this institution. So that's really important. What experiences that I have that supports my admissions. So I look at it like the who, what, with whom, and why of research, like who you did it with and why you did it, but focusing definitely on your own involvement in the work and what you did and what your contributions were. I think is really important. Like if you did research and you were independent, I think that's something important to highlight. Of course, I talked about why I thought that program was a good fit in ways that Lillian described. And then also my long-term career goals. I think many programs want to know, where you are now, but how you see yourself in 10 years. And why do you think the PhD will help you reach those long-term career goals? And I think the gold standard for this is saying that you want to do academia, you want to become a professor today.
You're not held to it.
You're not held to that. And but what I will say is that whatever you find to be truly meaningful to you, you should write about. So if you are really invested in science communication and scientific writing, and you're like, one day, well, I want to become an expert in this field so that I can write children's books about research. Like that is, who's to say that's not a valid career path? So whatever is legit for you is what you should choose. But I would say the gold standard is saying academia. But it is important to, think into the future about where you want to go and how you see this helping you get there.
Exactly, because this is such a long degree, right? And they want to pick people who will stick it through and have a purpose, to applying, not just because they want a PhD, but what are they actually going to do with it?
Right.
So that was just some of our tips for writing a statement of purpose. If you have any questions, please comment below. And if you felt like this video was helpful at all, please like. This is a video series, so we're going to be uploading more. So if you want to hear more of that, please subscribe to the channel.
Thanks for watching.